Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. I'm your Wonder Guide. Welcome. All right, so I just dropped off my group at the Space Center and we are gonna go explore Merritt Island while we're waiting for them to finish their Space Center tour. So let's check it out. And believe it or not, Brevard County has 20,000 acres of land that has been donated via purchasing for environmental protection, and I think that is very special. So this is in the 90s. First, they saved their very first endangered piece of land, which is now the Enchanted Forest. And then they decided to tax themselves extra and buy more land for environmental protection. They approached landowners that wanted to voluntarily sell their land for environmental protection, and it had to meet a lot of criteria. So basically, like, your land had to already have some preserved nature, evidence of our beautiful birds and our wildlife, and if it fit, then you could participate by selling your land to Brevard County, and they will in turn protect it for all of our future. Because of this program, you can come to Merritt Island and Brevard County and see so many natural spaces, and all of them are worth checking out. I've only started to explore and I am having the best time finding new spots. All right, so this is the Enchanted Sanctuary by Titusville near the Space Center. It's about a 15-minute drive from the Space Center. Very accessible and very beautiful. All right, we're walking. Just so you know, park closes at 5, so get here in enough time. It is free, there's no admittance fee. You get your little book. It has self-guided information at each spots along the way, a lot of nature information. Also, no pets are allowed here, so don't bring the pups. Oh, wild coffee. So I love that they have everything posted. Can you hear them? It's planes. So it's not exactly quiet. It's by a small plane airport. There are a lot of planes going over. So there's that. If you're gonna explore the natural conservation areas and the parks, trails, and beautiful nature on Merritt Island, definitely don't pass up Sam's house. It's Brevard's oldest home, and they have done a wonderful job with educational trails that are pretty interactive, especially great for children that are learning about the environment and our history. So let's check it out. All right, so as we're walking through, you got climate cycles. We have a native garden. All right, and we're walking to the other exhibit, which is about pines, because Florida is home of pines, and this was known as Pine Island, where they talk about Merritt Island pines. Sam's house is actually made of pine, and it's actually unusual that it was made of this type of pine because it has so much resin in it that it is flammable and was used to make turpentine. Sam's house is actually made of this pine that was located in this area and it's survived, so that makes it very special. All right, so here we go. Vast grasslands. So this is during the Ice Age, but in Florida, there really wasn't any ice when everywhere else had a lot of ice. Florida, not so much. We did have a lot of water though. So what's really cool is that they have these, you know, replicas. There's a saber-toothed tiger replica over here. Let's see that guy. There he is. But they even also have like interactive stuff for the kids, especially. You can dig in this sand pit and find bones. Pretty cool. And then after you find the bones, they're mastodon bones, then you can look at the little chart and see like what bone you found. They're not real animals, they're plastic animals, but it just shows what people did to survive back in very old Florida, pre-colonial Florida. This is how the Native Americans lived. It has pictures of seeds and this great sample of a hut. Okay, so this section shows us some of the things that are grown here. And Sam's family also, of course, had bees because you need them to pollinate your crop. So they have a sample, all the tools of the trade. Something else that's special about Sam's house is it does give you the history of the Sam's family with the citrus and the pineapple, but actually there was a lot of archaeological excavations on the property. So that's why we have the wonderful historical expos, the permanent trail expos, teaching about the archaeology, and there's even some of the archaeological finds. There's photos of the digs, and it's just an all around great place. Definitely worth checking out. I'd love to see more communities follow through like Brevard County has with their environmentally endangered lands program. Now, they manage this land. Why do they manage the land? Because if left on its own, it usually overgrows, and that can actually be really dangerous to preserving the land. So they do prescribed burns. They maintain the brushery and the shrubbery that's on the lower parts of all the trees and the hammocks and everything that we see. But they do that to keep it, to protect it, and to protect the wildlife as well. Okay, we're leaving Sam's house. We're gonna go find a church that I found. It is beautiful. It's a historic church, so we'll do some footage of that. Then there is another land management area, and then there's another preserve that I've never been to. So we're gonna go to a couple places I've been already, and then at least one place I haven't been, and we'll see. I have like 3 more hours to kill, so you're stuck with me. So not really like a stop you're gonna hang out at, but it is beautiful to come and see St. Luke's historic church here on Merritt Island. So right down the road from Sam's house, literally just right down the road, there's another park. It's a Parks and Rec park, and they have kayaking here and a really nice playground for the kids. There's our kayaking. Let's go check out the water. I'm not doing kayaking today, but let's go check it out. Okay, so this kayaking area is a manatee area, and I think I see a manatee. I'm gonna try to zoom in. It looks like a manatee. It could also be just like a little mound of sand, but I know this is a manatee area. They're protected, so I'm gonna try to zoom in and see if it is in fact a manatee. Now I wish I was kayaking. Great. All right, so now we're on a nature trail. It is right next to a Circle K. So I usually go to that Circle K to get gas. And this is the first time I've gone onto this little nature trail. It is literally right next to a road. But the trail itself is really pretty. Now, when you're exploring Merritt Island, there's a lot of natural looking spaces that are actually private property. So make sure that you pay attention to the posted signs. They have no trespassing signs posted all over the place. Some of the trails actually butt up to people's properties, and it's very well marked. We got to the end of the trail. It was very short. Here we are at the park. Mitchell Ellington Park. So here we are, and it is a park. So like all sorts of stuff back there. And I guess I could have parked there, but I didn't know. So we're gonna walk back. It was a very short walk, but it's really nice, really pretty. So I just want to mention that all of the places that we're exploring today on Merritt Island are 10 minutes or less from the Kennedy Space Center. Now, the Space Center really is kind of an all-day event. If you have all day, you're going to want to be there all day. So I definitely suggest, staying an extra day if you're in this area. Or if you're passing through, hop on over and take a little walk, stretch your legs, and enjoy the beautiful conservation areas in Brevard County. All right, here we are surrounded by nature, but actually kind of not. The road's over there. We're on this little tiny trail, and I just want to point out a couple of things. We have a live oak tree right here. All right, and it is covered in Spanish moss, something you see in Louisiana and Florida. But also it's covered in resurrection fern, which is one of my favorite symbiotic natural relationships. You can see the top row is resurrection fern, or the little tiny ferns. And when it hasn't rained, they dry up, and then you can just spray water on it and they pop up green right away. That's why they're called resurrection fern. I love resurrection fern. I think it's beautiful, as is Spanish moss. Reminds me of home, which is Louisiana for me, and Florida for me now. So it reminds me of both homes. So just a short drive away from Sam's house is Sam's Creek, which is a kayak launch and a manatee viewing area. And it is so peaceful and quiet out here. There's some hiking trails. We're gonna check some of that out, and let's see if we can see a manatee. The last time I was here, I didn't see any, but maybe we will. So out here is a lot of our beautiful Florida birds. I'm gonna try to get as many shots of birds as I can, but also you have wild boar, and then we have gators, but I actually haven't seen one, but they would be over here in this area, and it's posted. So anytime you're in Florida hiking, just always be aware. There might be gators, there might be crocodiles, there might be snakes, and there will definitely be a lot of birds. So that's amazing. We love that. All right, so that was about as good of a shot as we're gonna get of the birds. They let me get pretty close to them, and then they weren't afraid. They didn't like run away from me, but they did start making their way to the water and then kind of swam away from me. while we're down here, you can see how the drought has affected the mangroves. You can see right here at the bottom of these mangroves. Very dry, lots of very dry weather. Fascinating to look at though. These flowers are starting to bloom. They're coming out. Okay, I am trying to find an alligator to show you guys because they definitely exist in this area, but I haven't found one. However, I can show you something. I can show you an area that looks like a spot a gator might have used to have been. During the dry season, they kind of make little indentations and you can see where they've been. A lot of times those areas, if they're by water, they fill up with water, and that actually helps during our dry season with the entire ecosystem. So like gators for Florida are extremely important. We love our gators. Yeah, in the flat spots like this, where there's a bunch of spots that are not flat all around it, that might be a spot where a gator was. That's what they like to do. They like to flatten out a little spot for themselves and they just hang out there. Now, my groups ask all the time, should we be afraid of alligators? No, stay away from them. They don't like come out and attack you. They like to stay in their spot. If you see one, he's likely gonna just be sitting around on the side, not wanting to interact with anyone or anything and not wanting to move at all. Keep your distance, don't bother them, don't feed them, don't be stupid, and don't be afraid. All right, we explored Merritt Island. Now I'm waiting on my group here at NASA, and then we're back home to Miami. Thank you for exploring with me. Join me next time when we take a sightseeing plane and check out this cool airplane cafe. Some other cool airplane things. See ya!